Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Twin Bridesmaid, who says, am I the a-hole for pulling out of my sister's wedding due to her in-laws? And just to give you a warning on this story before we go any further, in case you do want to skip it, it contains toxic religious views, mental health, alcoholism, stillbirth, and infidelity. So as I said, if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. For background, Stella and I are identical twins, 29 female, and we will both be 30 when her wedding comes around this fall. I had her as my maid of honor 8 years ago, and she promised me that I could be hers when her wedding came around. I have 2 kids, 6 female and 3 female. They are the flower girls. My marriage fell apart just over 2 years ago due to a stillbirth and my husband's infidelity. My parents and sisters were the only reason I didn't drown from the stress, loneliness, and total abandonment of my spouse. I was a total mess. I went to therapy, got diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, quit drinking, and I owe a lot of it to my amazing sister. She's the reason why I kept chasing down my ex for child support when he stopped suddenly paying. He suddenly switched from world's best dad to deadbeat dumbass so quickly that my ex-mother-in-law is disgusted with him. Stella and John, 35 male, got engaged last year. His parents are paying about 60% of the wedding. Our parents are paying 30%. Stella and John are paying for the rest themselves. The biggest caveat is that they must be married in John's family church, full mass with communion. The family is on board because this is going to be a very big wedding. Tonight, Stella has invited me to dinner, as they had finally reserved a date for the church and reception, assuming it was to formally ask me to be her maid of honor. I was excited since I haven't been in a wedding party aside from my own wedding. John was with her. Weird because Stella didn't mention him coming at all in our texts about the dinner. We hugged like usual, but John didn't. Weirder. After we got our drinks, they got to it. In a nutshell, John expressed the following. Despite my best efforts to keep it a secret, my parents found out that you were divorced when they asked why your husband wasn't coming. They are no longer comfortable with you as maid of honor, because it won't look good to the church if my family hears about the divorce. You can be a bridesmaid but can't mention the divorce or your conditions at all during the wedding events. I was stunned. I felt tears in my eyes. Stella started crying too, and she tried to spin it in a good way. This is way less stressful for you, so it's a good thing. Mother-in-law has already approved my BFF as my maid of honor, so please don't make this any harder. I knew that I couldn't possibly stay there through an entire meal. I had to process this new info alone. I didn't speak. I just paid for my wickedly expensive cocktail and left to order an Uber home. A few hours ago, I texted Stella that I would not be in a wedding party at all. That was my decision. I wouldn't pull my daughters out, but I would only attend as a guest. She wouldn't take this as an answer, so I had to temp block her due to her excessive texts and calls. I sent my parents a summary of what happened and promised to call them when I was in better shape tomorrow. Stella thinks that this is a total overreaction. I don't even want to know what John thinks at this point. Please help me. Am I the asshole? But snarking in the USA says not the a-hole. Honestly, I wouldn't let the kids be in the wedding either. They don't need to be subjected to the in-laws' high and mighty attitude. Jen Knife replies to that and says, yep, I'd pull the kids out of the wedding and tell her you don't want her or her in-laws to make your children feel the way she has made you feel. Snoo says the mention of mass seems to indicate it's Catholic, and the church dogma doesn't give a rat's ass about the marital standing of anyone other than the bride and groom. This is all on sister's bigoted in-laws. Mother Bike says not the a-hole. I'm appalled that your sister is even going through with this. Like mother-in-law approved BFF to be maid of honor. What the actual hell? Good thing you noped out, because I have a funny feeling you won't be the only one if mother-in-law is controlling this from behind the scenes. And he says not the a-hole. You've been judged not worthy by your sister's soon-to-be husband and in-laws, and so in a sense, they're the ones making this decision for you. But the mere fact that you still want to attend as a guest shows that you are not making this decision lightly or out of spite. Best of luck to you, and I feel sorry for your sister who is marrying an extremely judgmental fiancé with parents even worse. There are many Catholics that are not like this, and for those that are, it seems to be the exact opposite of what Jesus would have wanted. Lady says, not the a-hole, a low blow. Just because his parents are paying for the majority of the wedding, it doesn't give them the right to dictate who is and isn't the maid of honor. That is your sister's choice, just like it's her choice in what she wears on the big day. I think you are dealing with it really well. You're allowing your girls to still be in the wedding, and you're still attending the wedding as a guest. If your sister wants to allow her future in-laws to dictate her life, that's her choice, but it's not yours. And good for you for sticking up for yourself, but still choosing to be there for her on her big day. I'm not sure I would be able to. And one more comment from Vixen Noir, who says, not the a-hole, not even a little bit. You handled the situation far better than most people would. Do not let your sister or your parents bully you about this. You need to do what is best for your own mental health. Being downgraded from maid of honor is humiliating, and everyone in your family will know something is wrong. I bet your sister hasn't even thought about that. She's so worried about making mother-in-law like her. Honestly, your sister should be grateful you're still willing to attend the wedding at all. It's beyond gracious of you to allow your daughters to still be flower girls. But unless you've already promised it to them, you might want to reconsider. If mother-in-law is that judgmental, you don't know what she'll say about, in front of, or directly to your daughters. I wouldn't trust her around them personally. But OP edited the post and it says, thank you for all the messages. I've expected to be told just to put up with it and be a plain bridesmaid, which while difficult, I kind of would have forced myself to just make Stella happy. I was just so blindsided, and I feel like I've been gut punched, and I do need to be told if I am overreacting in a big way sometimes. I'm going to fall asleep now while binging Friends, and wonder if my twin has suddenly become an Ursula instead of a Phoebe. Edit 2. Wow, I did not expect this to blow up. I can't thank everyone enough for their input. I have a call scheduled with my parents this afternoon. From what I gathered, they are extremely upset with Stella and John at the moment. Depending on how that goes, I will talk to my girls about doing something big and fun instead. The more I think about it, sitting through a mass sounds less and less appealing. I'm not even religious. And I saw this query in the comments. Yes, I had a cocktail with no alcohol. I used the word mocktail, but I guess its meaning is still lost to some people. When I asked for a list of mocktails last night, the server was a little condescending about it and said they are still called cocktails if they are not alcoholic. In response to people saying that she should pull her girls out of the wedding, OP says, I keep seeing that everyone thinks I should pull out my daughters. I disagree. As I currently stand, I'd be fine attending as a mere guest / child-minded to keep my daughters on track. It would actually make it easier to not have to bring a friend with me just as a part-time babysitter for the occasion. I will not let anyone in John's family talk down to my children. If I have any sort of inkling that such a thing would happen, only then I'll pull them out as flower girls. This is simply too important to my daughters for me to pull them out altogether. They'd be crushed if they were told they couldn't go to the wedding anymore. OP then updates the post and says this is going to be brief. John found the post as he lurks on Reddit and shared it with Stella. Wish I used the fake name Ursula, since she joked about that detail herself. Stella Ursula has officially called off the wedding. When John was ranting about the post and how bad the comments were painting him, he said that your sister must be off her goddamn meds and going manic. You better get her ass under control. But then Stella Ursula actually came undone on him and began calling out everything that John and his family had put her through. Then she took off the ring and chucked it across the living room. John went into a rage, and while he didn't do anything but yell at her, he threatened her in regards to her mobility issues. Stella Ursula uses a cane to walk. This is what triggered her to text our parents and myself. By the time our parents made it to the house, John was gone and she had packed up her bags and left with them. Her cane was not in the house. Stella Ursula wanted to thank you for all the comments calling her out. It shattered the mosaic that John built around them. And while we're both still raw and processing the last couple of days, I'm glad to have my sister again. She was someone else I hardly recognized a few days ago. As kids, I was more outgoing and she was more reserved, so I felt obliged to go along with her the other night, despite how conflicted I felt. But again, Stella Ursula says thank you for the wake-up call. And John, if you see this, fuck you. Edit, you know what? Fuck you, Keith. Whew. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story is one that we've covered in the past, but does come with a new update as well. So if you do want to skip parts of the story, as I said before, timestamps are down in the description below and along the timeline. Thank you. It's from a throwaway account who says, "Am I the a-hole for dropping off two drunk, rude girls at the bus stop instead of driving them home? My boyfriend's best friend's girlfriend is always really rude to me. She wanted to hook up my boyfriend with one of her friends. So when I arrived into the picture, she decided she hates my guts for ruining her friend's chance for a great relationship. I was still trying to be nice if we had to hang out because of our boyfriends, but I preferred to avoid her, since she would always make a point to shit talk about my appearance, personality, fashion sense, work, etc. My boyfriend and his friend went to a festival together. I was supposed to pick them up after because they were drinking. I arrived at the parking lot at 3 AM to see my boyfriend, his friend's girlfriend, and her friend. Yes, the one she wanted to hook up with my boyfriend. I was surprised, but before I could ask about it, they got into the car. A few minutes passed until the girlfriend's friend asked if I'm the B-word that stole her love, which spiraled into them going into a rant about everything that is wrong with me in their eyes, including how my boyfriend could do better. I told them that they are quite brave considering the state they are in. Completely wasted, since I'm driving them home and I can decide to just drop them off if they continue. They dared me to do so. So I did. Pulled up to the nearest bus stop, told them to get out. They thought I was joking until they saw me turning off the engine. In the end, my boyfriend got annoyed since he wasn't feeling well and wanted to go home. So he screamed at them to get out or he would drag them out of my car himself. His best friend tried to protest, but my boyfriend in his drunk state told him that it's my car, so he's not one to decide. And if he has a problem, then he waits for the bus with his girl and her friend to take an Uber. My boyfriend, after waking up sober and remembering what happened, called me an arsehole for kicking out two drunk girls out of my car in the middle of the night. I reminded him that his friend stayed with him, but it only angered him more for some reason. I was told that the girls were drunk, so I shouldn't take to heart what they were saying, and that by dropping them off at the bus stop, I put them in unnecessary danger. He's going on about it for the past few hours, to the point when I don't know if I really did the bad thing and should apologize. Antique Rooster says on this one, "Not the a-hole, is your boyfriend insane? You're being verbally abused, and not for the first time, by this girl while he sat and did nothing. You didn't drop them off in the middle of nowhere, they're at a bus stop with your boyfriend's best friend. I'd be more concerned with the fact that he doesn't see an issue with the way you were being treated. You did the right, nice thing. Should have kicked your boyfriend out at the same time." Nancy Nuggets replies to that and says, "How about the other issue? That he basically went on a double date with these people who have no respect for his partner and didn't tell her the girls would be there." Harry says, "Not the a-hole. You picked up your boyfriend from his double date. You had never agreed to give those girls a ride, and everyone in the car was an arsehole to you. Dump the guy and let the other girl have him." Fun2 says, "Not the a-hole. If they're going to disrespect you to your face when you're giving them a lift home, then they do not deserve the help. They may have been drunk, but that does not change the fact they meant what they were saying. They put themselves in that position by the way they treated you." Call Me Cookie says, "Not the a-hole. He went on a double date with this other girl. You were nice enough to pick up 4 drunk idiots and they started trashing and ganging up on you. Being drunk is no excuse to behave like that. Your boyfriend should have handled this entire thing differently. Don't let him escape his responsibility for what happened by tricking you into feeding him being mad." And one more comment from Charming Ad who says, "If anything, the boyfriend owes OP an apology. Like an apology for having been on what was essentially a double date. He should have at least called her before she arrived to pick them up. He could have said, 'Listen, what's her name brought her obnoxious friend. I didn't know she was coming. She's expecting the ride home, but I understand if you'd rather they call an Uber.' Letting his girlfriend be blindsided by the girl's scheming is unacceptable. Even drunk, he had to know it was wrong to be on a secret double date. Him being pissed the next morning makes me wonder if he does like this other girl. OP should probably just let her have him. She should find a man who respects her more than to expect to drive 2 catty bitches home after they've done nothing but insult her." Can you imagine the absolute cheeky so-and-so getting into this person's car and start giving OP verbal after they're doing them a favor? Drunk or not, you gotta be absolutely stupid. But OP continues with an update and says, "Am I the a-hole mods? Don't let me post an update, so I'm just gonna write it here," which was on their page. Maybe people who saw my original post will somehow find it. Well, I have an update, but first I want to answer some questions that were asked a lot. At first I wanted to respond to each and every comment, but before I realized my original post blew up, so I decided to address everything here. Did you know your boyfriend went on a double date? No, it was supposed to be him and his best friend, which I have my doubts about because the festival was ticketed and the tickets were sold out in a matter of days. I'm sure at least her boyfriend knew she was going. Was the bus stop in the middle of nowhere? No, it was in a city centre, near the festival site, and there were many other festival goers waiting. Were the buses still running? Yes, our city is hosting the festival for years now, and they're always taking care of festival goers. There are additional night buses, trams, and even train lines. What if someone shot my boyfriend's best friend? I'm really sorry for what's happening in the USA, but we're living in Poland, Europe. Now to the update. I know why my boyfriend was so adamant about me apologizing. Apparently his best friend's girlfriend and her friend decided that I need to be taught a lesson. I'm not really sure what they were planning to do, but they decided to scare me somehow as a form of revenge. My boyfriend decided it would be a great idea for me to apologize so that they would calm down, instead of, telling me. When asked why he would withhold information from me, he said that he didn't want drama, as if there's not enough drama already with this psycho. He told me all of this because his best friend broke up with her in the end over her craziness. So my boyfriend deemed it appropriate to tell me I no longer have to apologize. Lol. I contacted his best friend asking if he'd be willing to tell what he knows about his ex and her plans to authorities. If she would ever come through with her plan to teach me a lesson, and he agreed. My boyfriend, on the other hand, was furious I contacted his best friend because he doesn't want drama. I was feeling petty, so I told him that maybe I should just go out with his best friend, since he seems more level-headed and caring. That's when I learned that his best friend's ex thought her boyfriend, my boyfriend's best friend, was attracted to me, so her outbursts of anger were justified by her insecurities. When asked why he's so keen on victimizing her, he wasn't able to answer and shut down completely. Needless to say, we're taking a break. It's hard to break up completely because we are living together and we are both on the lease. I'm pretty sure it's not the kind of update a lot of people commenting under my previous post were hoping for, but I'm not really sure what to do. And the majority of the comments below that post were just saying, just dump him, be done with it, he's trying to cover his tracks and all this kind of stuff going on. And just basically get out of that situation as safely as you can. But OP does come in with another update and says, a girl who dropped off 2 drunk girls at the bus stop here. I'm alive and well. We're no longer together. I know a lot of people couldn't understand why we were on a break instead of breaking up, but I did it for my own safety. What would he do with us still living together if I broke up with him? He's willing to cover for people who had plans to hurt me. Better safe than dead, right? I got away though, found a nice affordable place with 2 other wonderful roommates. Blocked everyone. Yes, including my ex's friend. I'm sorry, but this ship has sailed and is somewhere down there with the Titanic. Just to be sure no one will find me. Thank you for keeping me in your thoughts. A lot of people commented and reached out to me asking if I'm alright. That's really sweet of you. I wish you all the absolute best. And a little brief update that was, and I'm glad to hear that OP got out of that situation and is now, doing their own thing happily by the sounds of it. And just still casting my mind back to that first post and thinking of the absolute audacity, I know, drunk or not, of getting in someone's car and start giving them shit and just expecting no response. Of course you're going to get your ass kicked out, you absolute Burke. But what do you guys make of this situation? Put yourself in OP's shoes. Would you have kicked that person out of the car? Let me know down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much. And if you have a moment of your time and you want to listen to a couple more stories, there'll be a couple of playlists at the very end that you can click on. So whatever you're up to, bit of running, bit of crochet, as we always say, bit of artwork. Had someone show me an awesome 3D puzzle the other day with lights in it and all sorts. Love to see it. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.